Welcome to another exciting episode of Marketing Science Lab. I'm Alex, and with me, as always, is my brilliant co-host, Sophie.
Hello, everyone. We're thrilled to have you join us today for what promises to be a fascinating discussion on cultural competence in marketing, with a special focus on Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead.
That's right, Sophie. And since artificial intelligence has a hard time switching between English and Spanish, let's just say Day of the Dead moving forward. Today, we're diving into a study that, while not directly about marketing, offers some incredibly valuable insights for marketers looking to engage with diverse cultural audiences. But before we get into the details, let's set the stage with some important context.
I need to practice my Spanish to get better at it, but okay. Absolutely, Alex. It's crucial to understand that the Latinx market is rapidly growing. As the study reports, by 2023, Latinx students are expected to make up 30% of the public school student population in the United States. This demographic shift has significant implications for marketers.
Indeed, Sophie. And it's not just about numbers, it's about understanding the rich cultural tapestry within the Latinx community. For instance, I recently came across a fantastic example from my alma mater, the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Can you tell us more?
Certainly. My university has found some really creative ways to integrate the Day of the Dead theme into their cultural celebrations. One of the coolest things I saw was how they modified the mascot for a special t-shirt design. They took their regular mascot and gave it a Day of the Dead makeover, complete with the traditional skull face paint and floral designs.
That's a great example of cultural integration in marketing. It shows how institutions can respectfully incorporate cultural themes into their branding and merchandise. But Alex, I'm curious, how does this tie into our main topic today?
Great question, Sophie. This example perfectly illustrates one of the key findings from the study we're discussing today, the importance of recognizing heterogeneity and voluntary participation within cultural groups. The study, published in the NABE Journal of Research and Practice, examines how a second-grade Mexican bilingual teacher guided his Latin students in discussing Day of the Dead themes.
That sounds fascinating. What were some of the key findings?
And one of the most striking findings was the diversity of responses from Latinx families to the Dia de los Muertos project. Some families were learning about it for the first time. Others were reclaiming cultural practices they had participated in back in their countries of origin. And a few were completely opposed to the project.
Wow, that's quite a range of responses. It really highlights the importance of recognizing diversity within cultural groups, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Sophie. This is a crucial lesson for marketers. We often make the mistake of treating cultural groups as monolithic, but this study reminds us that there can be significant variations in knowledge, attitudes, and practices within a single cultural group.
That's a great point, Alex. How did the teacher navigate these differences?
Mr. Aguilar used what the researchers call cultural intuition to create meaningful educational experiences. He drew on his own cultural background and understanding to guide the students through discussions and activities related to Day of the Dead.
That's interesting. How do you think this concept of cultural intuition could apply to marketing?
Great question, Sophie. In marketing, this could translate to employing team members or consultants who have deep cultural understanding to help create authentic and resonant campaign. It's about going beyond surface-level cultural representations and really tapping into the nuances and lived experiences of the target audience.
That makes a lot of sense. What other marketing insights can we draw from this study?
Another key takeaway is the importance of interactive approaches. Mr. Aguilar used interactive read-alouds and home inquiry assignments to engage students and their families. In marketing, this could translate to creating campaigns that encourage audience participation and knowledge sharing.
I love that idea. It's like creating a two-way conversation with your audience rather than just broadcasting a message. Can you give us an example of how this might work in practice?
Certainly. Let's say a beverage company wants to create a Dia de los Muertos theme campaign. Instead of just creating themed packaging, they could launch an interactive social media campaign inviting consumers to share their family traditions and stories. This not only engages the audience, but also provides valuable insights into the diversity of practices within the community.
That's brilliant. It reminds me of a case study I recently read about a major food brand that tried to capitalize on Day of the Dead but faced backlash for cultural insensitivity. They could have avoided that by taking this more interactive, culturally informed approach.
Exactly, Sophie. And that brings us to another important point from the study, the need to balance tradition and innovation. Some families expressed a desire to reclaim cultural practices while others were reluctant. For marketers, this means being sensitive to both those who are deeply connected to traditions and those who might be exploring them for the first time.
This study seems to offer a wealth of insights for marketers. Can you summarize the main takeaways for our listeners?
Absolutely. Here are the key lessons for marketers. First, recognize diversity within cultural groups. Avoid one-size-fits-all approaches in cultural marketing campaigns. Second, leverage cultural intuition. Employ marketers with deep cultural understanding to create authentic and resonant campaigns. Third, use interactive approaches. Develop marketing strategies that encourage audience participation and knowledge sharing. Fourth, balance tradition and innovation. When marketing around cultural themes, be sensitive to both those reclaiming traditions and those who may be reluctant. And last but not least, bridge knowledge gaps. Create marketing content that connects products or services to consumers' lived experiences and cultural knowledge.
Those are fantastic insights. I think our listeners will find a lot of value in applying these principles to their marketing strategies. But I'm curious, how can marketers measure the success of these culturally competent campaigns?
That's an excellent question, Sophie. While traditional metrics like engagement rates and sales are important, marketers should also consider qualitative feedback from the target community. This could involve focus groups, social media sentiment analysis, or partnerships with cultural organizations to gauge authenticity and impact of the campaign.
That makes sense. It's not just about the numbers, but about building genuine connections with the community.
Exactly. And remember, while Day of the Dead is the focus of this study, these principles can apply to marketing around any cultural theme or to any diverse audience.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of another enlightening episode of Marketing Science Lab. Any final thoughts, Alex?
Just a reminder to our listeners, cultural competence isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's about creating meaningful connections with your audience. When done right, it can lead to more authentic, effective, and impactful marketing campaigns. And in today's diverse marketplace, that's not just good ethics, it's good business.
Beautifully said. To our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Remember, the key to successful cultural marketing is continuous learning and genuine engagement with diverse communities.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Marketing Science Lab. We hope this discussion on cultural competence has inspired you to approach your marketing efforts with renewed curiosity and sensitivity. Remember, in the diverse world of marketing, understanding is your most powerful tool. Until next time, keep experimenting and stay curious.